Pretzels, a sweet starter product this year, trying to get a lighter, airier pretzel. It's going to be hard to get the right timing. Definitely in the midst of trying to figure that out. Trial 1 failed in the first half of the action. We let it out all day, warm in the proofer before putting it in the cooler overnight. I got here the next morning, it was already overproofed, too late. Trial 2 is in the cooler as we speak. Logan shaped them, not my favorite shaping, but that aside, we're gonna shape some more today and bake some more tomorrow. And the ones here today, they basically got 6 hours warm before going in the fridge. We'll see how that turns out, and we'll adjust today's warm proof based on how we bake off this morning's. So let's get this pretzel dough going. Some milk in this dough, a little bit of water, sweet starter. So far I haven't made any changes to this formula. It is what last year's formula was with regular Harriet. And I don't know where we're gonna land with that. I've got about a month to figure it out. We know we're gonna make these, and we just gotta get the formula right. The rest of it is going to be standard. So considerations when using the sweet starter, this formula on its own doesn't have any sugar in the dough. So the only sugar is naturally found in the flour that we're using. It doesn't give this starter very much to eat, and I'm not sure if that's enough. So if anything, I would maybe add a little sweetness to the dough, not for the dough itself, but rather just for the microbes to feed on. We'll see. That's one of the unknowns. Okay, good on the wet ingredients. Let's get the dries going. Type 70 for this mix. Just need to add a touch of butter to this dough, that's all that's missing. So pretzels have shorter gluten strands. They should have kind of a cotton ball feel on the inside. So we're only gonna mix to incorporation before adding the butter. Sort of like making pie dough or biscuit dough almost, where you don't wanna wait till the very end to add the butter, otherwise it's a very different effect. So I'm setting a 2-minute timer on this just to get incorporated while I rinse off these bowls and scale out butter for this mix. It's a pretty small mix that we're making. Just a trial. That's all the butter I need. Not quite at incorporation yet. Add another minute. Doesn't need much longer than this. Probably helps if I put it in second just for a moment. Pretzels are a notoriously dry mix, almost like Play-Doh. It's gonna be enough of a container for them. Not really doing a whole lot in terms of development. Let it ride for the 2 minutes or so though, and I can clean up the other bowl in the meantime. Less work later. My colleagues prefer scraping harder at the end of their shift. I like to address the bowls that I'm working on while the dough's still wet in them. It takes a lot less effort, but they like the workout, I guess. So lately I've been getting my workout shopping auctions and picking up equipment. It's plenty of a workout for me. Grabbing this pretzel dough, throwing it in to a small bin. So it hasn't really been proofing very long. It's okay, because the whole proofing time happens after this. So it's gonna go warm after this for a long time, then eventually cold later on today. 135 is the weight. Let's get these all divided. Get the initial pre-shape going. So in this case, just a decent log. Stretch these all twice anyway, if not 3 times. This is more like Play-Doh, this dough, so you gotta go after it a couple times in order to get the final full length. Be a little bit more careful with it if you pre-round, get it nicer. It's a stiff enough dough that you can see some of the lines. Okay, so that's initial pre-shape for pretzels. Cover this up so we can build quite a bit of length. Not the full amount, but almost. Pretzels are looking good. All right, that's 2 of 3 for the pretzels. Something got smashed here. I feel like I'm schlinging the wrong direction for my preference. So these are also gonna get stored on couches in the proofer for most of the day, and then we'll bake them off after they've refrigerated. In the meantime, I'll prepare my lye solution today. I have a test bake from yesterday that I'll do, see how we go. I can actually adjust the final proofing time on these as a result of the test bake. So those yesterday got a certain amount of time in the proofer, and based on the final performance, all other things being pretty much the same, I can decide what to do with these. All these products I've been working on today are basically going to be on the menu through November, and then I still have December to work on thereafter, and I got to get to December as quickly as I can. For once, we expect to finally have products this December that are unique. In the past, we've been so late to the game on November testing and October testing that kind of carried similar menus all the way through the year. This year, I think we can break out of that and do something really special for the holidays. It's an important time of year for us and for our customers. I mean, celebrations at home, really special breads to go with them. And for us, you know, time to really make up for the slower time of the year. So we gotta make the most of this time, and that's why we're preparing this early. All right, pretzels are shaped. I'll couche them up. Just 3 here. Don't need to cover them, actually. Off to the proofer they go. Okay, so we have pretzels round 2. They look a little bit further along than yesterday's. Actually, a few signs of being a little too far. This one in particular, the rest less concerning. Produced some really nice pretzels yesterday. They were all gone. But see how this one's a little wrinkly? It makes me feel like we took it too far warm. This dough is actually moving faster, and I think it's because of the lack of sugar in the dough. So I could probably make it move slower or give it a little bit more juice by adjusting that in the formula, and that's kind of where I want to go with the experimentation going into next week with that particular product. So we'll see where we land. We have 4 weeks. Yesterday was a passable result, so we'll have sweet starter pretzels this year, but we have 4 weeks to now improve upon this and see what we can do. Just so you're both aware, I'll be bringing a small Cambro of lye solution in it.
Gotcha.
And it will burn your hands if you put your hands in there, so don't put your hands in the lye. The lye solution on its packaging, the lye crystals talk about like what you can use it for, and one of the descriptors says metal dissolution. So somehow I feel like our skin won't hold up either. They can dissolve metal. It's only a 4% solution, so it's mostly water. That's not, if you were to somehow tragically interact with it, just like get to water and wash your hands. It's not going to kill you. It's really a weak solution, but nonetheless, like, be careful.
Yeah.
I'm a little sad that today's pretzels seem a little over the mark. I was hoping that we would improve upon yesterday. We'll see how they bake up, but I've been finding it really interesting working with the sweet starter and seeing how the formula really influences the proofing process way more than, maybe it's just my newness to working with sweet starter that's causing this, but it seems like the formula has a much bigger impact on the final result than in a lean starter, regular sourdough situation. Meaning, it's interesting with the pretzels how quickly the fermentation curve happens because of the lack of sugar in the dough, versus if you have a heavily enriched dough that does have a lot of sugar, how slow that process is. The range is crazy. The pretzels are fermenting faster, seemingly, than with the regular lean starter, due to seemingly the lack of sugar. That's the conclusion I'm drawing right now, or the hypothesis, let's say. still needs to be tested out. Whereas on the brioche rolls, on the burger buns, on some of the other sweet starter products, all of which have some sugar content, the process is different. And then what's sort of interesting is how fat plays a role into all this as well. The burger buns have fat in the form of avocado oil. The brioche rolls have fat in the form of butter. The fat content in the brioche rolls is much higher than the fat content of the burger buns, but yet the burger buns seem to move way slower than the brioche rolls. And I mean, of course, like the amount of starter matters. So just seeing like a huge range of different results, it's not as easy as saying, oh, when you use sweet starter, it's going to go like this. Rather, we've seen really long curves and really short curves. And so, you know, there's a challenge in learning. It's not as easy as just, okay, let's start using sweet starter in everything and just subbing it 1-to-1. It's not that easy. That's why I'm doing all this testing in the first place. None of these products are novel to us. We've made pretzels, we've made brioche rolls, we've made cinnamon rolls, but using this new sweet starter promises for us a lighter, airier result that we think will make for a better overall product, but requires us to study the fermentation and really nail it down before we go to scale and confuse the whole team with it. It's just kind of interesting, the dance I'm playing with all of these, where I'm using the same base sweet starter, but I'm getting just wildly different results. Well, I just got a little bit of lye on my hand. I'm gonna go wash it off out of that container. So I'm gonna put some gloves on so it doesn't happen again. There's no sense in like panicking over this solution. It is a really weak solution intentionally. It's not like gonna cause anything severe, but just care and a little bit of concern is all that's necessary. I just say that because a lot of people, myself included, have been really intimidated by the idea of using lye. And I do think that you can create a more dangerous situation for yourself with it. For instance, say I put the lye crystals in a container and then put water in versus the other way where I put water in the container and then slowly dilute the lye. Well, you know, if you put the crystals in first and you then put water in, you're creating a really heavy concentration of lye at first, enough to cause some real damage. Again, like it can dissolve metal at the right concentrations. Going the other way, you're actually going from weaker to slightly stronger. So, you know, a lot less risk. I think that's a big one. Also, I remember from our garage days when we first started working on pretzels, the solution was stronger. For some reason, we were doing like a 7% lye solution, which was more abrasive and did hurt a little if it got on you. The lye that just got on my skin now, I don't really feel anything right now, like a mild, like the most mild burn you could possibly imagine. It's like enough to ignore. Not even as bad as a rug burn. It's like, it just feels a little warm in that spot. So it's not that bad. But that's not to say it shouldn't be handled with care. I'm only gonna have 2 trays of pretzels. It's gonna be very easy. So we're using these and we'll put silpats on them. Gotta get those from another room. Silpats. So the silpats are for the dipped pretzels after they go in the lye solution. There's really no other form I've found that prevents them from sticking to whatever it is that you put them on with the lye. You can go back in time to our original pretzel video from 2 years ago with my friend from Germany, Satkaram. We did a test on parchment paper and basically just got pretzels with paper on them. If you put the pretzels directly on a pan or directly on this wood, you'll see a permanent mark from the lye. and probably makes that pan unsafe since like lye has an effect on metal. So that's also why I'm not going the metal route. The wood route, even if a little bit dropped, like these boards can take it. So let's go get the products now. I should just roll that in here for a moment. Pretzels, looks like we got 5 minutes before the oven is ours. So might as well start scoring the pretzels and throwing them in first. It's kind of unconventional, but since I'm working by myself, I'm just creating a stack of these pretzels so I don't have to interact with these couche cloths when I have hands contaminated with lye. The pretzels are cold enough that they're not going to stick to each other in what's going to amount to moments. Let's get rid of this for a moment. All right, let's go. Holding them by the buttons, need a little bit more space. So they're most likely to fall apart at the buttons, which is why my thumbs are holding those down. I'm also allowing the extra lye to drip off so that I don't end up creating a giant pool of lye on the sill pats. Based on how many I have, I'm just gonna do 6 to a tray right now. Given I'm at the 6 level, now I'm going to peel off the top glove I have. Yesterday's bake taught me one thing: you don't have to really go deep on this score. I went too deep and I regretted it. This is pretzel salt. I've also decided to be pretty generous with the salt. I've kind of gone back and forth over the years, but the conclusion I've drawn is if somebody doesn't want as much salt, it's pretty easy to flake off the extra salt. But if somebody does want more salt than I offered, there's nothing they can do about it. So might as well give it a nice generous coating. I should be wearing protective goggles, just calling that out. And the lye could splash in your eyes. I'm, as the owner of this place, choosing to take the risk. My employees will be wearing goggles and test my left-handed scoring. Could be a first for me. Felt my arm touch the lye container. I'm gonna wash that off really quick. While he's unloading, I'm gonna get these out of our way. Let's load these babies up. Sliding the sill pats right off. No steam for this one. Yesterday's 18-minute bake was just right. We'll keep it there. I'll go 16 just so I can check it proactively. Just gonna take a peek at these. Yeah, you can definitely tell that we took them a little over because they didn't really get the volume of yesterday, so we didn't leave quite enough gas in the tank, but they still look pretty good. Just gonna finish them off for a couple minutes. We'll see. Still fairly optimistic about them. Nothing to be upset about, but I think I can still do better next week. So see if they get the snap. Pretty decent. It's a really buttery flavor today, which I like. Nothing to complain about. I think most people would be really, really happy with this pretzel. You got the different textures, which is kind of nice. You can have a little crunch or a little breadier piece. The one thing I still want to get right is a little less overall development of the dough. If you look at that crumb structure on the inside, you can see all those fermentation sites and development that looks a little bit more like bread, whereas I would want more of a cotton ball texture in an ideal world. So probably need to use either a weaker flour or adjust the mixing a little. So still work to do on this, and also a little more volume would be nice. I think we took it too far, and I think it's interesting because I did this 2 days in a row. The proof was 2 hours different. We could adjust within that 2 hour range and kind of split the balance, but my guess is the formula needs to be tweaked. A little bit more sugar for the wild yeast to eat so that it can put off a little more CO2 gas and get a little more lift. The current formula doesn't have any sugar, and so the question is, how sacrilegious is it to add a little bit of sugar in the dough? I'm not talking about enough for it to be sweet. I'm talking about food for the sweet starter to consume. So we'll play around with this next week and see what we can come up with. So all of these products I'm making this week are early stage trials at this point of a sweet starter. So yes, they're all going to make a debut on the menu because they all already have. The question is, can we really bring them all to the point that they're truly better than their predecessors without the sweet starter? That's what I'm after. So You lose a little bit in the pretzel without the tang. The ones that the team ate yesterday, everybody was like, yeah, really good, missing that tang. And so the question is, do we actually move forward with the sweet starter? We're getting a little more volume, but it should be dramatic in order to make that switch between the sourdough and the sweet starter, which really doesn't have that tang to it. So we'll see where we land with the pretzels.
Last year, we launched $1 Million Baker, a video course designed specifically for bakers ready to start, grow, or level up their bakery business. We built it for the dreamers, the doers, the home bakers who wanted to go pro, and the pros who wanted more. We've watched new bakeries launch across the country and around the world, all fueled by the same passion and determination we had when we started. But recipes and branding are just the beginning. Behind every successful bakery is a mountain of decisions most people never see about equipment, workflows, layout, staffing, logistics, and finances. That's why we've been working hard on Season 2, focused entirely on what happens behind the scenes, the stuff no one tells you, but everyone eventually runs into. We didn't want to repeat Season 1, we wanted to build on it. If Season 1 was about building the product and the brand, Season 2 is about making the business work. How do you deal with space constraints? How do you manage employees? What gear is worth the investment and what's not? What systems save time and reduce stress? How do you keep your books from becoming a nightmare? We've made mistakes. We've also made progress, and we want to share both. This isn't a get-rich-quick promise or a cookie-cutter blueprint. It's a hard-won experience packed into honest, practical lessons. I want you to be prepared for the toughest days so you can reach your best ones faster. These are lessons you won't find anywhere else from people who've actually lived them. If you're serious about building a bakery that lasts, this is the education we wish we had.